Hello guys, today is history of Eswatini, so here we go. Artifacts indicating human activity dating back to the early Stone Age have been found in the Kingdom of Eswatini, known as Swaziland for most of its history. Prehistoric rock art paintings date from c. 25,000 BC and continuing up to the 19th century can be found in various places around the country. The country now derives its name from a later king named Muswati II. JN, named for Ngwane III, is an alternative name for Swaziland, the surname of whose royal house remains Nkosi Dlamini. Nkosi literally means king. Muswati II was the greatest of the fighting kings of Swaziland, and he greatly extended the area of the country twice its current size. The Emakhandzambili clans were initially incorporated into the kingdom with wide autonomy, often including grants of special ritual and political status. The extent of their autonomy, however, was drastically curtailed by Muswati, who attacked and subdued some of them in the 1850s. With his power, Muswati greatly reduced the influence of the Emakhandzambili while incorporating more people into his kingdom either through conquest or by giving them refuge. These later arrivals became known to the Swazis as Emma Ficumba. The clans like the Mvokanes and others who accompanied the Dlamini kings were known as the Benzabuco or true Swazi. The autonomy of the Swaziland nation was influenced by British and Dutch rule of southern Africa in the 19th and early 20th centuries. In 1881 the British government signed a convention recognising Swazi independence despite the scramble for Africa that was taking place at the time. This independence was also recognised in the Convention of 1884. However, because of controversial land, mineral rights and other concessions, Swaziland had a triumviral administration in 1890 following the death of King Mvokanes in 1889. This government represented the British, the Dutch republics and the Swazi people. Finally, in 1894, a convention placed Swaziland under the South African Republic as a protectorate. This continued under the rule of Ngwane IV until the outbreak of the Second Boer War in October 1899. King Ngwane V died in December 1899 during Inkwala after the outbreak of the Boer War when his successor, Sobhuza, was only 4 months old. Swaziland was indirectly involved in the war with various skirmishes between the British and the Boers occurring in the country until 1902. In 1903, after British victory in the Anglo-Boer War, Swaziland became a British protectorate. Much of its early administration, for example, postal services, being carried out from South Africa until 1906 when the Transvaal colony was granted self-government. Following this, Swaziland was partitioned into European and non-European, or native reserves areas, with the former being 2/3 of the total land. Sobhuza's official coronation was in December 1921 after the regency of Labour Tsibeni, after which he led an unsuccessful deputation to the Privy Council in London in 1922 regarding the issue of the land in the period between 1923 and 1963. Sobhuza established the Swazi Commercial Amadoda, which was to grant licenses to small businesses on the Swazi reserves, and also established the Swazi National School to counter the dominance of the missions in education. His stature grew with time and the Swazi royal leadership was successful in resisting the weakening power of the British administration and the incorporation of Swaziland into the Union of South Africa. The Constitution for Independent Swaziland was promulgated by Britain in November 1963, under the terms of which legislative and executive councils were established. This development was opposed by the Swazi National Council, Likoku. Despite such opposition, elections took place and the first Legislative Council of Swaziland was constituted on 9 September 1964. Changes to the original constitution proposed by the Legislative Council were accepted by Britain and a new constitution providing for a House of Assembly and Senate was drawn up. Elections under this constitution were held in 1967. Swaziland was briefly a protected state until Britain granted it full independence in 1968. Following the elections of 1973, the Constitution of Swaziland was suspended by King Sobhuza II, who thereafter ruled the country by decree until his death in 1982. At this point Sobhuza II had ruled Swaziland for 83 years, making him the longest ruling monarch in history. A regency followed his death, with Queen Regent Gelivishongwe being head of state until 1984 when she was removed by Likogu and replaced by Queen Mother Ntambie Twala. Muswati III, the son of Ntambie, was crowned king on 25 April 1986 as King and Ngwane of Swaziland. The end. History of Eswatini. So hit the like and subscribe for more history.